our next guest. We're talking, this person is an important and very important person to me personally, because my next guest is not just a best-selling author. I'm talking, this guy, he has written multiple books, best-selling books. We're talking 8, 9 different books. Many of them have changed my life, changed many people's life, but he is a mentor, a great friend of mine, an amazing person, amazing family man, and literally has changed my career and therefore my life for me and my family, and now for Gino, because I've drugged him into this person's style of living, because what you're going to get from our next guest is not just tips on how to be successful in business, but how to be successful in life, because that's the most important thing. And I don't want to waste any more time. I'm going to bring on my good buddy and my mentor, Todd Duncan, in the house.
Hi, guys. Hi, Jessica. How are you guys?
Hey, we're doing great.
Hey, Todd. Good. How are you?
Great. Thanks. Good stuff, Jessica.
Thank you. I'm excited
Welcome.
to hear your interview.
Todd appreciates good pearls of wisdom, don't you, Todd?
The only way to keep the thing going, baby, I'll tell you.
I mean, I love your latest statement, Todd. To give you some idea how Todd thinks, his latest post was, my theme in life now is fall in love with life. I love that, Todd.
Well, the bottom line is that, if you don't love what you do, if you're not in love with your life, if you're not in love with, the reason and purpose for which you exist, it's very hard to enjoy life. It's very hard to get through life, and it's fairly impossible to succeed at life if you're not in love with your life. It doesn't mean we don't have setbacks. It doesn't mean that everything's just rosy every single day, but the way you handle that and the way that you learn from it and the way that you channel it into, new decisions and new disciplines so that you can continue to press on is one of the hallmark character traits of all successful people. So it's a great idea. Fall in love with your life.
I love that. I mean, Todd, what that tells me is, live life with intent.
Yep.
Don't just let life pass you by. And it's not adversity. We all encounter adversity. It's not adversity. We all have that. It's how we handle it that makes us different.
You're right on, Gino. Darren Hardy at Sales Mastery last year, a good friend of mine, publisher of Success Magazine, said that the difference between the real people that succeed and those that don't is the people that succeed have more failures, and they learn from those failures faster. They don't make repeated mistakes. They become lessons. And one of the great truths to succeeding in life and business is that you do learn your lessons, and you learn them quickly, because you make one mistake and you lose a listing presentation, or you lose a buyer on a loan app, and you rethink it and you think about what you did and what you should have done differently. That mistake should not be made again. If it's made again, you haven't learned the lesson. So the highest paid people and the most successful people learn the lessons as quickly as possible, so the mistakes no longer are made.
That's always good tips, because, and if you just tuned in, we're speaking with one of my mentors and good friends, a national, I don't know how many #1 bestsellers you've had, Todd. I mean, the list was amazing. I mean, I've read a lot of these books myself, Todd, and I've shared them with many. I mean, you got Wealth Strategies, Killing the Sell, Who Stole My Sell, The Power to Be Your Best, Time Traps. One of my favorites, obviously, High Trust Selling. That's changed my life, and all my team gets it. And then, since we're talking about living life better and stuff, your latest book, Life on a Wire, and how to avoid burnout and succeed in work and life.
Good stuff.
I'm sure you have
quite
tips.
the library.
There's 3 more on the way, so we're in good shape. We'll hit book number 16 by the end of the year.
Well, you've always said that you want to reach out and try to touch as many people as possible. I'm sure you have some good tips on how to avoid burnout and how to deal with stress.
Well, there's no question. The idea of living life, as Gino said, with intent, the idea that we're all on the wire. And kind of the interesting thing about, living life on the wire is that when you're in a commission society like you guys are and like our listeners are, and when you are, you've got family, you've got health, you've got finances, you've got spiritual, you've got everything that you're trying to keep balanced. The notion for most is that they're going to give up trying to be balanced because it doesn't work. And sadly, what ends up happening is we overcompensate. I was talking with Tino Wallenda, who is the grandson of Carl Wallenda of the Flying Wallendas. They've been in business on the high wire for 135 years, and their claim to fame in that entire time is that they have never used a net. And the interesting thing is, when you don't have a net, you practice really hard. You make sure you're really good. the skills are dialed in, you're on autopilot. But he said even then, we've had people that have fallen off the wire. But he said it's interesting, in life, too many people try to overcorrect. They spend a month working hard and they realize they haven't loved on their family, or they realize that there's conflict at the home front, so they've got to maybe slow down on the work front. And then, oh, by the way, because of those two things going on, they forgot to go to the gym, and because they're stressed out, they're eating too much, and so they have this just overcompensation. They'll work on one area, and then they'll go try and work on another area. If you think of somebody walking the high wire, what somebody on the high wire does is they've got a long pole to keep them balanced, and they make little adjustments and little corrections. And so the idea of succeeding in life and business and avoiding burnout is to not overcorrect. In fact, have purposeful imbalance, a decision that I'm going to do this for a short period of time because I need to, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to blend these things. It's like prospecting. If you prospected every day for a half an hour in real estate or mortgages or any sales business, you'd be so successful. But if you realize 2 weeks down the road that you haven't prospected for 2 weeks and you give it a couple of days, you might get it back on track, but it requires you to give up a huge block of time. And so the most successful people have this committed life plan. They have a committed time plan. And what they do is they do the right things in shorter spurts of time on a regular basis. And that's the key to kind of maintaining the flow and not falling off the wire. And then obviously less is more. The less you try to do in any area of your life, and the more impactful each of those things you try to do are, obviously the more return you'll get on each of those things. And that's why, like what Jessica said, it's so interesting that we prospect our brains out to try and get business, and then we absolutely fall off the map when it comes to follow-up. And, if you just followed up for an hour a day, you'd be rich. Fortune's in the follow-up, right? But if people don't realize, and 98% of the people we surveyed last month do not have a consistent follow-up system. So obviously, how do you stay balanced? Well, have a system that guarantees your success so you don't have to freak out every time you realize your paycheck is going down.
And now you can see why this guy, Todd Duncan, of the Todd Duncan Group, New York Times bestseller, a mentor, trainer, how he's changed my life. And it's these simple pearls of wisdom that seem so simple, as Gino said, and we were talking to Jessica earlier, Todd, and you just eloquently always put it, how we can change our lives piece by piece and live a much more balanced life. So Todd, if it's okay, we're going to have a little break coming up here, and we want to touch base on a couple more pearls of wisdom from you, because I had a couple great questions. I know I can't wait to hear the answer, and I'm sure you out there can't wait. So make sure you do not change that dial when we come back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show.